Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer. This is a part number 2440-601. This is a 12 3/4, that's an overall length, auxiliary spring in a bright black Japan finish, and that's what the 601 means. So the 2440 is representative of a couple of things. Well, it's the length of the spring, it is the size of the head and the diameter of the spring, and all of that conspires to mean that this is a spring that you would use in many sorts of auxiliary closing applications, where a gate spring or an auxiliary spring is perfectly suited. You literally might have a wooden fence on the back of your property, and you simply want that back gate to be self-closing, and this is exactly where that's going to be used for. So Bommer makes different versions of these, and really how they differ is the load that they're expected to work with in terms of the weight of the door. So this is a 50-pound sort of version that we have here, and differs from the other versions in terms of the size of the spring. So what you're going to have is, let's say they're 2400, which is a significantly smaller diameter spring. The diameter spring on this is 1 1/8 inches. And the mounting pad size is just something related to that size. Now the 2400 is just a 3/4 inch diameter spring, and while it does not look so obvious, frankly, until you put them side by side, and you'll see that this spring with 1 1/8 inch diameter is significantly larger. So in their springs like these, the 2400 is just one of 3 others that are going to differ in the spring diameter and the length. If you've got something significantly light, that 2400 is going to be a real good choice. But if you expect it to, if the door is of any weight other than something that you would classify as very light, you're going to be in the 2400 range. Pardon me, the 2440 sort of size. Now, they have from the 2400, 2410, 2430, 2440, really the difference is that spring diameter, and as a result that the width of that mounting pad will change. So it will be larger on a larger spring like this, okay? Whereas on the 2400 the mounting pad will be significantly smaller. And this is intended to be mounted obviously on an angle, because you're going to have to communicate to both the face of the door and to the jamb. Now that brings me to the final item that they have. They have their 2500 series. The 2500 specifically is the small 3/4 inch diameter spring that you'd have on the 2400. The 2510 and the 2520, those are larger springs, and they are of greater length as well. Now the difference with the 2500 version is the fact that you're going to have the L-shaped sort of mounting pad, which if you were to type, search for 2500 or 2520-601, you'll see that different L-shaped sort of mounting pad, and that is when you're not going to go off of vertical to mount the item. It's not really, something that I can say which is better over the other in terms of having a square mounting pad like this or the L-shaped. Your conditions will dictate what you're going to use, is the bottom line. But people will use the 2500 series when they do not want to take that off of vertical. They just want to install it flat, and it will give you the 1/8 of an inch margin on either between the door and frame that you need, and from the mounting pad, and that is just simply perfect. It could be for aesthetic reasons, might be. Personally, I find the vertical 2500 series a cleaner look, but it's completely just my opinion. Now, below this video are links to the installation instructions, and I'm pulling it up now, and they are, of course, packaged with the material, and they will give you the reference to the installation instructions. Okay? So the key portion here really is that, as you're looking at that, 1/8 of an inch edge of door to the edge of the bracket, and that basically means if the door portion is here, you're going to want to have this 1/8 of an inch over, and then if your frame is over here, you want to have 1/8 of an inch here. So you'll tip that over just a little bit. Well, I'm actually showing it backwards, but it'd be over here, the opposite side of your jamb, whatever the case might be, is what the installation is. In terms of the application of the door, they're completely non-handed. It's a clockwise sort of turn on the spring. Not to exceed 3 holes of tension as you're installing the item. Now, they don't really give a dimension in terms of how high from the top of the door to mount the material, but quite frankly, knowing Bommer, you'll just want to kind of gauge what they're graphically showing there. So if you're putting this onto a door, you're going to want it certainly much closer to the top of the door. The top 25% of the door height is where I would say you're going to want to have that installed. The tension collar, which is this device here with the holes, that is always installed towards the top of the door. The fixed pin that you see here always is installed at the bottom of the door. That is always how these work. Now, you will always, so the tension collar is always to the top. You will get, with every order, you're going to get a tension rod, and that is just simply to allow you to set the tension on your installation. Okay. You'll have your 2 mounting pads fixed. This pin is going to come in contact as you rotate that clockwise, and that's the only way that is to be mounted, or pardon me, turned to set the tension is clockwise. The bottom pin will make contact with its mounting pad, and at that point you'll be able to set tension on the spring itself. You obviously want to be careful. That is a substantial spring. You will certainly get screws for attaching those mounting pads. They've got more in there than you need. That's it's uncommon. They rarely send you more than you need. That silver pin is the tension pin itself. Now let's go over that. So with the tension collar up, you're going to turn that clockwise. Then, as you are turning it clockwise, you can imagine that you will reveal new additional holes, and it's into one of those new additional holes that you will insert that tension pin, that silver steel pin that's there. 3 holes maximum. That's all that the spring is designed to handle. If you find that you are not adequately getting the door closed, you simply need to add another spring, and that's not uncommon either. I've seen 3 springs on a door. It was an instance where, quite frankly, the door was ridiculously too heavy for the application, but the truth of the matter is for that client's application, it was just going to be fine, and having multiple springs worked, and it did for their application. So clockwise, 3 holes maximum, insert the pin, your installation is done at that point. Then obviously test for operation. You may not need 3 holes, two might just work really fine for you, but 3 holes would be the maximum. There is also below this video a link to both the technical drawing called template and the installation instructions for you to review both before and after purchase or during installation. They do come with the instructions will come with the unit. There is also a link below this video to the manufacturer's page, and from there you can pull up the full line Bommer catalog. Now their name is really synonymous with spring-related hinges. If you've been in a restaurant and you've seen a double-acting door and it's hung on those hinges, that's Bommer, that hinge right there. However, they make a tremendous offering of of hinge-related products, not only double-acting spring hinges, but single-acting spring hinges as well. They have a full line of architectural, commercial, institutional hinges. And they also make very high-quality lavatory hardware as well. So, if you have any questions on the Bommer 2440-601 gate spring, or what's called an auxiliary spring, or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.